can be called upon under the right conditions. But not eating enough is very much not the right conditions. So the body is now in a place where it is storing body fat, right? Here's an example, an analogy I want you to think about. What would happen, what would be your sort of knee-jerk instinctual reactions if you were to get a pay cut at work? Right? It'd probably be contractionary. You know, you don't take that vacation. You don't go out to that dinner. You save, you conserve, right? You're contracting in ways. You got a pay cut. It's kind of stressful, isn't it? Well, that's what the body does, right? It conserves, it saves its stores of energy, its body fat. Now, let's say the reverse is true. You get a bonus at work, okay? Now what happens? You go in sort of a bit of an expansionary state, right? You do take that vacation. You do go out to that restaurant, okay? You're not, your basic survival is not threatened, right? Well, that's the same thing here, right? The body would be willing to relinquish some of its stores of body fat under those conditions. It has no problem under those conditions. It's not threatened. But that's all that's really happening when you're consuming very little amounts like that, okay? So that's a massively important idea because I want you to think about something, right? Let's suppose that we have two people. They're both you, by the way. This one, not so happy. This one's kind of happy, and I'll tell you why, right? So a person on the left maintains their body weight at, let's suppose, 1,200 calories, right? They're merely maintaining their body weight at 1,200 calorie intake. Where the person on the right maintains their body weight at 2,000 calories, okay? Now these are the exact same people, the exact same workout schedule, energy expenditure, the exact same in every way. One maintains at 1,200, the other maintains at 2,000. Both now go on a mission to drop body fat. Who do you think is going to have an easier time dropping body fat between those two people? Person A at 1,200 or person B at 2,000? Right? So of course the answer is person B. Right? This person over here, they have a lot more of a buffer from which to reduce from. Right? Their metabolism is pretty healthy. They're a much healthier person. They're eating more, fueling themselves, and maintaining their body fat. So now, when person B goes to reduce body fat, there's a little bit of a buffer there. They can go down to 1,600 calories, 1,400 calories. Where is person A going to go? They're consuming 1,200. Where's she going to go? She's going to eat seeds and leaves and that's it? You know, I mean, you got to ask yourself some basic questions. If you're at a place where you're consuming already very, very little amounts of food and expending high amounts of energy, maybe you're doing cardio, 2-3 times a week and other forms of exercises, and you're not dropping body fat, well, there's a phrase for that, and dare I say, brace yourself. But the metabolism will begin to adapt, right? And in this instance, this is a maladapted metabolism, right? This is metabolic damage, as it were, right? It can be undone, but for all intents and purposes, this is a lot healthier person. This person sleeps a lot better, doesn't get sick as often, can have a lot better results from their fitness. See, here's the challenge then with nutrition plans. It's like, it doesn't care or ask or think about any of this stuff, right? What it does instead is, I'm just going to kind of put it down here, there's a couple of ways to think about nutrition, I suppose, you know. You can look at the quality of food, or you can look at the quantity of it. Right? And most programs just stay here, right? Here, eat this better quality of food. Those questions that they ask are like, hey, what's better, whole milk or skim? You know, white bread or wheat? You know, this protein or that? This carb or that? It's all quality questions, right? But here's the rub. You see, if you could be, this could be your day of food where you wake up and you have egg white omelet, and then for lunch a kale salad, and then for dinner 2 ounces of wild-caught sockeye salmon with coconut oil, right? Superfoods galore. But if you're only having 800 calories, you're down here, then I don't give a damn how good those foods are. You're not that healthy, okay? That's tricky. I get it. And that's why having conversations with clients, it's always like, you know, it's a lot of like cognitive dissonance. When I eat healthy, I eat vegetables. I know. But you got to ask the right questions first. And the right question first is not quality, it's quantity. Because here's something funny. That you could take somebody who's on the opposite side, who here's their day of food. They wake up and they go to all-you-can-eat pancakes, and then for lunch it's Buffalo Wild Wings, and then it's for dinner it's more fast food and soda. And their quality obviously sucks, but if their quantity, and they did this on a consistent basis, was somewhat near a level that's in here or even here, well, hell, that person's going to have a much easier time. Metabolically speaking, they're actually a little bit healthier. And here's what's funny, because that person probably knows that their food quality sucks, so it's kind of, that's like an easy change. Like, all right, let's make some obvious changes to the quality of food. But the person who is hell-bent on the quality of food that they eat, but they're not eating enough, that's kind of like a psychological barrier that you have to navigate. A bit of an obstacle that's harder to overcome, because there's a lot of psychological resistance. It's like, oh, I want to eat very little and very little. You've been told to eat very little and very little, 1,200 calories. I don't know, in 10 years of doing this, that I've met a client who should be consuming 1,200 calories, just to let you know. Most usually is, you know, 1,400 and up. So here's what I would strongly advise that you do, is first get a handle on your BMR, right? The first question when I sit down with clients and they tell me, well, you know, I think the reason that I'm, you know, holding on to body fat and gaining weight is, you know, I have some of my kids' snacks and I put creamer in my coffee. And I will follow up and I'll say, hey, do you know what your BMR is? Say no. All right, do you know how many calories you consume in a day? No. Okay. I think you're missing the big idea, right? It's easy and tempting to just want to look at the quality of food and say, hey, I just got to make better choices here. But I promise you, friend, you got to, more than likely, 99 times out of 100, you probably have to eat more, right? If your day consists of a lot of little stuff but no meals, right? If it's like, you know, a snack bar in the morning, a light salad for lunch, and then like a little nosh for dinner, like that's just not going to cut it, right? Especially if you're working out. Man, talk about an energy expenditure that's much higher. I mean, if you're going to fuel this level of activity, right, it's probably a good way to think of it. You know, you want to fuel for the activity that's in front of you. Yes, Michael Phelps, it's been said that, you know, when he's in training season, that he consumes some 7,000 calories in a day, right? But look at the opposite side of the coin. Look what he's doing. He's swimming from 6 a.m. till 6 p.m., right? He needs every bit of those 7,000 calories, right? But if he were to stop swimming, and he was not in training, and he's consuming 7,000 calories, he's going to have a real problem on his hands, right? Look, I'll give you one last diagram. I'm going to use this. I know we're running out of room here, but it's a useful one, right? So, it's another way to think about nutrition, okay? So, there's a bit of a hierarchy, of which I can think of 5 pieces of the puzzle that you can tend to, that kind of keep it simple, that shouldn't overwhelm you, that you kind of want to go in sequence. Like, tend to this first, right? There's a bottom rung. You could probably guess by now that calories, right? What's the total amount of calories that you should be consuming? You, independent of your friend and your sister and your cousin and your coworker. Because those people are not you. They don't have, you know, from body composition to energy levels and expenditure and and a number of other variables to consider. They're not you, so it should be independent. So that's my beef with nutrition programs that just are wide blanket. Here, go do this. No individual difference is accounted for. So the bottom rung is calories. There's not much more to talk about if you don't tend to this first, right? After that, you know, let's suppose you should be having some, you know, 1,600 calories in a day. Of course, I'm thinking of a food in mind that has 160 calories. Hey, are you saying I could have 10 of these? Right? If calories are all that matter, I have this 160 calorie food, I'll just have 10 of them. Well, the 160 calorie food is not actually food, it's a drink. It's a 12-ounce thing of Pepsi. Can you have 10 of those and stay in great shape? Well, of course, that's absurd. And if you're willing to admit and see very quite clearly how absurd that is, then you'd say, well, the next thing that matters are what I call macronutrients. I'm going to shorten it to macros, right? Fats, proteins, and carbs. Some percentage allocation for your body, right? Those two things right there are the heavy hitters. The next three, you know, they matter, but I mean, literally 99 people out of 100 don't know this, and they sure as hell don't know that. But this, my friend, when you get this stuff down, the rest you can pretty much ignore. I evaluate every nutrition from gimmick to real thing on the basis of how many calories does it first ask you to eat, right? And there's a lot of silly stuff out there. Cabbage soup diets and ketos and Atkins and paleo and Mediterranean, and a lot of them are just, you know, just get a bit of a facelift and called something, you know, packaged a little bit differently. Intermittent fasting is another funny one people get excited about. You ask yourself these questions first, right? There's a lot of ways to just kind of twist and shape and, oh, well, you're not going to eat after 7 p.m. and you do all these little tricks. But tend to these two things first. Go discover your BMR. Find out what's the minimum amount of calories that keeps you alive. And then take it from there. Because if you're not, you're just spinning your wheels. You're going to be in the same place. If you're starting a program that doesn't tend to that, you're going to be in the same place and probably worse off in 6 months or 12 months than you are now. And it's hard for me to believe, in all the people that I've sat down and helped and coached nutrition, that any of them are really looking for quick fixes and not honest solutions. And it's for this reason that I spend a lot of time teaching and instructing and saying, hey, let's get down to the base level of education that you need to make informed choices, not for the next 6 months, and not even for the next 6 years, but for a lifetime. That, my friend, is a 10K presentation. Listen, if you are in need of nutrition coaching and nutrition assistance, then I would strongly advise you to head on over to motivatorspt.com/nutritionignition. Right? We have a thorough program that tends to all of this. Look, there are a lot of things that you could do on your own, right? You could take this and kind of work with the numbers, and there'll be a bit of a learning curve and whatnot. If you were looking to get from where you are to where you want to be in a straight line as fast as possible, then I would advise you let us help coach you through that. Right? That's exactly what our Nutrition Ignition program does. So you go to motivatorspt.com/nutritionignition and check out and see if it's a good fit for you. So Until then, I hope this has been valuable to you. I hope that the first thing that you do is go to a